Hello, everybody. As you know me, Brad Fitzpatrick, we're going to be doing a new show right now that's called What You Should Be Watching. And for future reference, this is my co-host, Zach Washburn, the movie messiah. Say hi, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
There you go. That works. Today's episode, we're going to be talking more what we feel you should be watching by our favorites to get you to understand what we like so that maybe you like the same stuff. So why don't we kick it off? We're going to give our top 10 favorites, and we're going to talk about them completely. Why don't we start off with your lowest number, Zach? What is your top 10, but number 10 on your list?
Okay, well, I just want to clarify some stuff first.
Please
Thank you
do.
for the introduction, Brad, and thank you for having me on your show. Um, First of all, Brad was kind enough to increase this number to 10 because 5 was impossible for me. The first 4 were really easy, and then the 5th one I couldn't pick. So he put it to 10. So I just want to let everyone know that after 4, these aren't really in any kind of order. So this isn't necessarily my last favorite 10th movie. It's just, so does that make sense?
Of course it does.
Okay.
Like you're not specifically 1 through 4 are exactly in 1 through 4 order, but anything after that or just your
Yeah.
mass number of what's good.
Right.
Okay.
And the next 6 are pretty much like tied for 5th. Let's just say that.
Completely understandable. Okay.
Okay. And I tried to pick a few, kind of from each genre. You know, if I were to have 10 on a stranded island, this would be them.
Awesome.
So the last one on my list is Doctor Strangelove for
Ooh.
a great comedy.
Yes, yes.
The great Peter Sellers, one of my all-time favorites.
One of his best roles too, if you think about it.
Yeah, all 5 of them.
Right? I mean, what other character actor? No, I don't think any other character actor could have played in that movie.
No, not then, not now. He's the greatest.
I mean, if you one of the things that I really loved about Peter Sellers though was his comedic roles as like the Pink Panther and stuff like that. But like he nailed this movie completely. But what were your favorite aspects of this movie?
My favorite aspects of the film actually were found out after I watched it the first time. One of my favorite aspects was I found out that about 75% of it was ad-libbed.
Oh,
And the movie, there's a technical name for that kind of directing, and Stanley Kubrick wanted to do that. The reason why he wanted Peter Sellers because he knew he was such a great ad-libber. And what they do is they just film the actors just being themselves and kind of just letting go, and then afterwards they edit what they want because he knew that Peter Sellers would do that anyway. So why not just put the movie that way? So I actually saw that in a documentary a few months after I first saw that movie, and that's one of the aspects I really liked about it.
well, I mean, if you take in consideration, like when you have such a great comedic actor like Peter Sellers, how best to make a movie to like encompass his entire comedic range, but just let him go. Just
It was
let him go.
perfect.
I mean,
Yeah, and it was great that Kubrick did that, which is kind of what I've heard is not really his personality. He was a very strict director, and he liked actors that did method acting, and really like pounded these actors hard about like do this, do that, and but he knew how Peter Sellers worked, and to get the best out of him, that's what he wanted to do. So.
I mean, and then that's so. Doctor Strangelove, number 10, of course, tied for number 5th, as you said. I will agree with you on that, 100%. I don't see any reason why that would not be in a top 10 list anywhere on this planet. Because if it's not on a top 10 list somewhere, then that means you don't obviously know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
All right. Also tied for number 5th, number 9. What do you think?
Okay. My number 9, like I said, I've tried to pick one from every genre, and keep in mind these are, these are movies that I feel are in my personal top 10, ones that I would watch over and over again. Phantom of the Opera.
Which version?
I would also Gerald Butler version.
Okay. Yep.
Um, Loved this movie when I first saw it, and I like musicals. I'm not a huge fan of them. I like every musical that comes out, I've got to see. But when I watched this, it was just. I mean, I've always liked the the original Broadway version, and I'm also not a big fan of Joel Schumacher.
Mm. Yeah.
After what he did to Batman, I really couldn't until,
Go on.
until he directed Phantom of the Opera, and I really liked the way he did it. It's it's one of my favorite musicals as well. It would be in my top 5 musicals.
I mean, if you really think about it, it's one of the very original goth opera musicals.
Yeah.
The entire aspect of it. Though I'll agree with you. I loved the Gerard Butler version. Myself was probably one of my favorites too. Though there's something to be said about the original one that they made, the black and white version all the way back then. That that has its own that in its own right it was a great movie. But
I know that. What is it? Then the makeup got awards. I think it came out before Academy Awards. Yeah. But I know that I've seen the what was it, Lon Chaney or
I believe it was too. I mean I can look that up real quick while we're sitting here.
But the piano wire.
Oh yeah.
They did that, putting the piano wire, making his nose go up, and having to wear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just. It's always good to have Google on many different things so you can find this out. Nope, not that one. I maybe not be able to find that one. I've got the songs on here. Interesting. I don't know. It's
Were
got a
you
whole
trying
bunch
to find the actor?
Yeah. That's all I was trying to do, was just find if it was Lon Chaney. I can't remember if it was actually Lon Chaney or
I'm pretty sure it's Lon Chaney. Yes, Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, and surprise outcast for Gerard Butler though, as the Phantom. I mean,
I was too, and he did really well.
Right? Like oh my gosh.
I thought he did amazing. It's so
you're right.
Interesting to me, and they get all these actors to do these musicals. Like Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I can't really see. Let me see if it'll autocorrect. It is Lon Chaney, but it's backwards. So you were correct, Zach. Good job.
Hey, they don't call me the movie Messiah for nothing.
That's right, and that's why you're here with me today.
All the worthless knowledge I have.
Now, if we get on comic books, then we're screwed, because I will school you. So.
You would school me, yeah.
All right, so after that one, what's next?
Silence of the Lambs is...
Again, one of those that should be on every single top 10 list.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, you're dumb. Honestly, if you think about it. One of the greatest movies of an era that at this moment in reality hasn't been able to be touched since, in my opinion. No. Like just the scope of the movie, just how like, oh my God, like now it's bringing back images of that movie and sitting there as a young child, because yes, I was that young.
Yeah. And it did really break a lot of barriers as far as, the movie was so macabre and I don't want to say gross, because there were horror movies before them, but this was not necessarily a horror film. It was a suspense thriller with murder, and they didn't leave a lot to the imagination. They actually showed a lot more in it. It was more graphic.
And it wasn't that. It was like, it became like the way that they really portrayed it is that you really connected more with one of the villains. Like, you really connected to him at a very close level.
I know, and it's like a lot of people say, and I was like this too, you wanted him to escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, he's one of the villains you root for. It's like, even though he's this horrible person who ate people, he pulled it off so well, like you sympathize for him, because he had this sickness, but yet he was also a gentleman. He The way he wanted to treat Clarice, he like was in love with her.
Oh,
And in the sequels and stuff, it shows more about how his distaste for bad manners. People who, and you root for a guy like that.
I mean, and how else could you like portray that character, but with Anthony Hopkins?
He was amazing.
I mean, honestly, like really, what do you like? There was nobody else that you could actually play Hannibal Lecter, of course, until you see the TV show. Did you watch the TV show?
I love the TV show. And
Oh my God, Mads Mikkelsen was
he did an amazing job.
fantastic.
Never heard of the guy until he did that part, and then
Right.
of course that kind of hit his career off.
Right, and I mean, in that sort of like with Anthony Hopkins, like he nailed a more, I don't want to say somber Hannibal Lecter, whereas Mad Milkinson just like I felt like he hit such an intellectual note with that character
Yeah.
that like even though we connected with Anthony Hopkins, like Mads was like we almost worshipped him in that show. If you really think about it, because the range of how he played his character was just so magnificent that you almost like you really liked him more than the real main character of the show, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was also one of the reasons why I started to hate NBC as much as I do since they canceled it.
Oh my God!
One
Right?
of the biggest mistakes.
Oh, I humbly agree with that statement because that was such a great show. Like, did you the episode that I really loved the most that I think personified that show was the flayed angels. Do you remember that? Do you remember when they had the serial killer that was flaying the backs of his victims
Yes.
and pinning them up?
Yep.
And it was just like that personified that show for me. Just the elegance at which these people would go to their great lengths to display their trophies in a way.
Yeah. Their trophies, exactly.
Oh, like it was like if Stanley Kubrick made a TV show about Hannibal Lecter, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because everything was just bam, 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 bam. You know. So you guys, this is the reason why I brought you on.
I appreciate that.
Okay. 'Cause,
Well,
like,
we agreed on so many things.
yeah, I mean, I don't have to even bring up my top 10. I mean, I probably will, but I'm just saying, like at the moment, like my top 10 is like even though like yours are very, very good movies that should be on a top 10, my top 10 is like nowhere near on that level.
Well, like
Like,
I said, every top 10 is going to be different.
Yeah, and I mean that's the greatest part. Like you got Stanley Kubrick in there, Anthony Hopkins. You've got like, some great stuff. But let's continue. Before I start.
One more thing I want to say about the Silence of the Lambs, which I think has to be noted, and everyone always notes it. And of course, the Silence of the Lambs trivia. Who else could get an Academy Award for 15 minutes of screen time? Yeah,
You're
he
right.
was only in the Anthony Hopkins. He was only in the film for 15 minutes or 17 minutes or something like that,
Yeah.
and he got the Academy Award.
Yeah, you're right. Who else could have done that?
Yeah,
Absolutely no one.
yeah,
Absolutely
exactly.
no one. Oh.
And I still have yet to see Westworld. Have you seen it? Is it good?
Yes, Westworld is fantastic.
Yeah.
Not my favorite show because I have these other tastes, but Westworld is probably, as of right now, probably one of the best shows on TV.
Awesome.
Just because, like, okay, you like Silence of the Lambs, you like the Kubrick sort of style, you like the weird twisting ideas where everything's kind of unique but fits together in like a puzzle piece.
I do.
Westworld is that show.
Yeah, I would definitely like it. I don't
You
mean
know.
to get off track, but just Anthony Hopkins reminded me of that.
No, I mean it's great.
Okay. Yeah.
Next
So
one,
next one was Back to the Future.
just number one, or are you bringing them all together? Are you just saying like all Back to the Futures, or just Back to the Future Part 1?
No. If you'll allow me to put them all together, definitely. If we
I
can
mean-
make that one movie.
I mean, I'll allow it because
Okay.
even though like some of the later ones couldn't hold the candle to the first one,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still it's really just one long movie if you take in consideration the way it was edited,
Yes,
specifically for that purpose.
yes. The editing. So many people, when I say editing, they're like, "What?" They don't understand that kind of. But if you look in that movie, those quick edits, and not even in Back to the Future 1 necessarily, but the editing in Back to the Future 3 on the train,
Yes.
those quick edits that get you on the edge of your seat,
Yep.
completely deserve the Academy Award. I know that the third one didn't, but the first one, yeah. And Robert Zemeckis and his team are
Oh,
amazing.
visionaries at that time.
Yeah,
I mean, really. I mean, the story itself was great, but Zemeckis in his directing style, along with his team, really made that movie.
yeah.
Like, absolutely made that movie.
And the last climax, the first, well, of all of them, but the first one, which that whole last scene of the movie where they're sending him back and the lightning strikes and Doc Brown's up on the clock tower. That all of that, what it only takes is like 3 minutes out of the movie.
Yep.
Now the climax is drawn out to 10 or 10, 12, 15 minutes, but it just, like I said, the editing and the quick editing and him, the car won't start, and every time you watch, you're like, oh God, is it going to start this time? It may not this time. And Doc Brown trying to yank on the thing, and the tree falls. It's just, yeah, I got to put that on my top 10. Love it every time.
Talk about Doc Brown, like Christopher Lloyd. We're gonna break off on that real quick. Like, honestly, I don't think there could have been anybody else to play Doc Brown, in my opinion.
Well, it's like you talk about Anthony Hopkins. It's one of those characters that you can never imagine anyone else being that role.
I mean, in truth, like Christopher Lloyd, he brought something to that role, like an eccentricity that's like so like natural for that character. You wouldn't think that there would be any other way for a mad scientist working on time travel to act, but just a little zany, a little weird, but always in your face.
Right.
And I like how the relationship between, Doc Brown and Marty kind of mesh itself so well.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this crazy mad scientist and this really somber, bullied kid that could be any man, kind of like have this relationship and friendship that blossoms into this huge adventure.
Right.
Which blows both of them out of the water that it could be.
Yeah, it was awesome. Plus later, I guess in interviews and stuff, they said loosely that it gave us Rick and Morty, because it's loosely based off that, right?
Yeah, Rick and Morty is very loose. I mean, it's not even really loosely based if you take at it. Like, really, they've come out and said that Rick and Morty is Doc Brown and Marty McFly. That's it.
Right.
They can't use those names. They just kind of tweak the characters a little bit, but that's who they are based on. Which, I mean, if you don't love Rick and Morty, I mean, you can leave now.
Yeah,
Like,
don't watch this.
Yeah, you could turn this off now and just go somewhere else.
Another thing about Christopher Lloyd with that role, it's one of those roles that would be so easy to be stereotyped,
Oh, yeah.
because like you do think like Christopher Lloyd, you immediately think Doc Brown. However,
Mhm.
you see roles like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or Taxi, or I know he loves the bad guy, but Judge Doom in Roger Rabbit. Those are all great roles that weren't anything like Doc Brown. Granted, he does usually play a zany type character, but I don't think that's necessarily being typecast,
No.
because they're not all the same.
No. And I mean, sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, like, comedic actors that will branch out and do other things, I think are my favorite in reality. Like the comedic actor that can be like, well, I'm going to be a comedian here and be really kind of funny, and then like take up like a non-comedic role and just fucking nail that.
Yeah. Steve Carell has really done that.
Steve Carell. Look, I'm telling you right now, like, Jim Carrey alone is like my god of, oh, that could be funny and zany. But then here I am in this serious role, and you don't remember any of my zany stuff, hands down. Truman Show. If Truman Show is not going to be on this list for you, we might have an issue.
Okay, well then we're gonna have an issue.
Oh my
I
God.
like Truman Show, and this is one. This I don't know, Brad. This is one time I might have to disagree with you. I will put Steve Carell in that. Okay,
You really
I will, and I accept Steve Carell as a dramatic actor because I've seen him, and I almost like him better as a dramatic actor than I do because you empathize with him. I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up with Jim Carrey being a comedic actor. When I first saw him try to do the drama stuff like Man in the Moon, I was like, what is this? I know he can do it, and I respect the fact that he did do it, but I think I was just part of the generation that wasn't ready for him to do that.
Yeah.
So I never really accepted him to do that. I respect the fact that he did it and that he's an actor, he can do whatever he wants. He was Jim Carrey. But I think a lot of people were like that.
I'll let you, have that opinion. But
Okay,
and like for me though, like I know we branched off the topic, but like Jim Carrey in the Truman Show and The Majestic, I don't think they could have got really. They could have probably got other people to do it, but I think he adds something to me, for my opinion, that there could not have been anybody else. I understand your opinion on Steve Carell. I'm not doubting that at all. Steve Carell is an amazing actor who has done such comedic works and then done great, just good dramatic roles,
Yeah.
which you forget all the comedic works, in my opinion. And I mean, the sad part is one of my favorite Steve Carell movies, which most people are going to laugh at me for, but it's Get Smart.
Great movie.
I love the original Get Smart, and I thought when they brought Steve Carell in to play that character, immediately I was like, I'm done. That's it. I'm cool. Just like I'm in.
Yeah.
And it really kind of nailed the movie. But okay, back on track. What's the next movie that you would like to talk about on your list?
The next one I have up on the list is the sports movie that I added,
Oh.
Any Given Sunday.
Ooh. Okay, now see, here's where we're going to defer. Okay.
Okay.
I do not like sports movies.
See, I'm not, okay, hey, I don't either. I'm not saying I don't like all sports movies. I'm not a big sports guy. Never have been, don't really get
Really?
into it.
I couldn't tell that.
There was just something about this movie, though. I guess the way the great Oliver Stone directs, Al Pacino, I like the story. Another thing about the editing was really, really got you in your seat. It's one of those movies that I've watched over and over, and I like it every time.
Well, say for somebody like me, explain to me what the movie's about. Since I personally
Football.
Now, could we break that down a little bit more, please?
No, it's about kind of a prima donna third string quarterback who gets his chance at stardom, and it kind of goes to his head, and he's one of those stars, that gets his chance, and he doesn't think he needs anybody else. But the coach, who's played by Al Pacino, says, you need it, this is a team effort, and it's kind of them all learning. It's kind of them learning about themselves, Brad, and they live, they laugh, they love, and I don't know. It was just a fun movie. I like it. I don't really care. Like I said, I don't really care for a lot of sports films. I really rarely enjoy a sports movie if I don't get into it.
Right. So it's got to be. I mean, if you're going to get into it, it has to be extra special. So obviously, Any Given Sunday is an extra special movie.
I thought it was to me. This and probably The Babe with John Goodman as Babe.
I have seen that one just because, like John Goodman, He's one of my top favorite actors too, just because of his range.
He did really good at that, and
Yeah.
I've always liked those. Are probably my two favorite sports movies, but that'll be a different show.
Yeah, that will definitely be a different show. Okay.
Way down the line.
Probably the last one, sports movies, and we're already cut. There you go, we're canceled. Sports movies, and I'm set. Okay, next one. Next
Jack,
one.
I'm not inviting you back.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're not talking sports films.
What's the next one on your list, buddy?
Okay. The next one. Okay, this was starts number 5, so we're
All right.
almost to it. Okay, like I said, these were in not in any certain order, but There Will Be Blood. Daniel Day-Lewis.
All right. Great movie. Cinematography on that movie for me was, it's almost picturesque in my opinion.
It's one of those movies where I watch it and I really felt like I was in that era.
Yes.
You know, I almost, after watching it, you feel like you need to do this and wipe the dust off of you because it just,
The dust and oil and everything else
Yeah.
going on. Oh, yes.
Daniel
Oh, yeah.
Day-Lewis, I mean, he's of course amazing, very strong method actor. I thought it was his best role. His voice, the way he did that, it was just, I loved it.
All right, I'll grant you that. Like, I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis has come has come a long way.
Yeah.
That was probably his quintessential role. Everybody, just like we talked about Anthony Hopkins. Bam. What is the one role that everybody knows him for? Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's had many roles, but this is the role that everybody knows him for. Daniel Day-Lewis is There Will Be Blood.
That's what I think.
Honestly, I couldn't, other than Any Given Sunday, I agree with all of them up to that point.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah. Okay, but now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Top 4, the ones specifically in
These
order.
are in stone.
These are it.
Would not change them. Movies I've watched over and over again. I would have to have them in my collection, no matter what.
No matter what. Okay.
Number 4, Casino. Oh, you disagree? Oh no.
I don't want to disagree. I really don't.
Love it. I love it.
Don't get me wrong. I absolutely understand why you love the movie. Because the movie's
Everyone
great.
loves a good gangster movie.
I mean, yeah.
Casino is the quintessential gangster movie.
I mean that you're right. When it comes to gangster movies, we're gonna. I mean, yeah, we'll have to disagree on that one. I'm sorry. Like I understand. Like I'm
Okay.
agreeing with you that it's
Hey,
a great movie.
What am I? 7 out of 10 right now?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if we're gonna talk gangster movies, I'm sorry. Like it's Godfather.
No.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Godfather, I like Godfather. I think Godfather is very overrated. Everyone's always like Godfather. I mean, everyone thinks mob movies automatically go to Godfather. And
There's a
Godfather's
reason
good
why
movie.
everybody goes to Godfather for mob movies.
I know there's a reason for that, but it was because it was one of the first, and it just, I don't know. Maybe it just was I thought like the first half of Godfather was friggin' boring.
Well, I mean, that's the point. It connects you to the characters. It slows everything down
Yeah.
because
But Casino, the first half, wasn't boring, and it still connected to the characters. So I don't know, maybe that was what did it for me.
What was the conversation that we had the other day about romantic comedies?
They suck.
Well,
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my opinion.
yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think your exact words to me were, things like that wouldn't happen in reality.
No, that was about one.
Well, it was about one. Okay, right.
Most of them are. You're right, but
I'm just saying, but that to me is Casino. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Casino's a great movie, fantastic movie.
That was based off a true story.
Loosely based off a true story.
It was
okay.
still based off a true story. The Notebook was not based off true events.
No, it's in my heart it is. Don't get me wrong. Look, The Notebook is not in my top 10. So
Good.
yeah. But that's a different one because we will do a romantic comedy list. I guarantee you. All right.
All right, if you
All
force
right.
me to.
I will
That's hard
force
for
you
me.
to do it.
Actually,
But
it
we'll
might not be that hard.
we'll lower it though. We'll do 5 because I mean
Thank you.
it'll be hard on you to do. You'll be like, here's one. I'm done. All right, number three. Number three.
Okay, this one is, I think, going to be very obscure.
Okay.
You and I had already discussed it before. I don't know if you remember the one I'm talking about, but this is going to be the one that's most just personal to Zach. This is my list. Remember,
Right.
I'm a big Trekkie.
Mm-hmm.
I like Star Trek and Star Wars. I like Star Trek better. I've always been a Trekkie at heart. So my favorite Star Trek, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Love it. I've seen it dozens of times.
I can't fault you on that.
That's my number 3.
Yeah. Honestly, like it's not on my top 10.
No.
But you're right. It's obscure and it's
Right.
closer to you, which is understandable because my number one movie is closer to me than what yours is. Your number one
I
movie is going to be
understand.
completely different than
Yeah.
mine. But I 100% agree.
But I
that-
had to add a Star Trek on there. And,
Oh yeah,
between 2 and 6, 6 has always been my favorite.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, the editing. It was the last big hurrah for the original crew, and
Oh yeah.
I love the story. And I've always loved political dramas, and this was actually a Star Trek that was a political drama, really. And I really liked it.
Like to Star Trek and Star Wars. Like I'm very up in arms about. Like I'm at war with myself on which one I like more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I completely get it.
I mean, if we take in consideration, like I love just the storytelling of Star Trek and how more humane it is, like how it really kind of connects us to the characters because these are just regular humans. They go on wondrous adventures through space and meet all these aliens, but deep down, Captain Kirk, Jean-Luc Picard, they were human. They were us. We could
Yes.
strive to be that. Whereas like Star Trek is superhuman. Like we all wanted to be Luke, but he had powers. We could never connect to
You
that.
said Star Trek. You're talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. And that aspect, like that's what separates me. Like I want to have powers. I want to be able to use the Force, but I also want to be like, Captain Kirk.
Right.
I mean, and so I'm at war with myself. Like,
I'd be like Captain Kirk, but have the Force.
can you imagine that movie?
Yeah. That would be great.
Right? But like, I'm up in arms. But okay, number 2.
Okay. Number 2, like I said, political dramas, and we've discussed Anthony Hopkins before. I'm also a kind of an amateur President Nixon historian. I thought he was a great president. I think he was a very underrated president because of all the conspiracies and stuff that happened with him in Watergate. But the movie Nixon is my number 2. Love it.
What compels you about that movie that connects you to your Nixon historian mindset?
It's funny, Brad. I saw that movie in high school, and when I first saw it, I thought it was kind of boring, to be honest. I watched it and I was like, this is boring, but I wasn't really, I was in high school, I was still into the action movies, didn't really appreciate good, dramatic films then. And then, as you may or may not know this about me, I started watching a little show called Dallas. And
What? You? That was
for
a
any viewers that don't know, I'm a huge Dallas fan. I love Dallas. And there was a character on there named J.R. Ewing, and he was played by Larry Hagman. And
May he rest
so
in
I really-
peace.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. Thank you. So I really fell in love with that actor. I thought he did that great. I wanted to see other things he'd been in, and it said he was in Nixon, and I was like, I saw Nixon. I don't remember that. So I actually went back and watched Nixon for the fact that Larry Hagman was in it. He played a character called Jack Jones, who was one of Nixon's old-time friends from Texas and a Nixon contributor. He was one of his big money donators. And anyway, he played a character similar to J.R. Ewing. But anyway, when I watched that the second time, I got a lot more out of it. And then I watched it when it came on DVD with the commentary with Oliver Stone, and I really felt like it was the first movie that was really like Oliver Stone was trying to be unbiased. He took a lot of interviews. He didn't just make it about, oh, Watergate and Nixon's a liar and evil and what did he do? Oh my God. He tried also to look about the human aspect of Nixon and the flaws that he had, which if you watch the movie, you understand that that's actually what brought him down. It wasn't Watergate, it wasn't the fact, that he was caught up in all this. It was his human flaws. And I don't know, I was going through a lot of the same stuff, and I always have been all my life, and I know you can relate. Nixon had low self-esteem growing up. He was brought up in a poor family. He was always trying to prove himself. And I don't know, I really personalized with that. And, I'm not saying that, it's just I'm not saying he didn't do wrong things. Most presidents do. It's just that he was the first one to get caught. And it just turned into this big debacle. And, but I digress. I'm sorry. The movie's very passionate to me, and the reason why I like it is just for those instances, going back and watching it, and it seems like it's one of those movies. Every time I watch it, I feel like I learned something new.
That was very pointedly stated. I really appreciate listening to you talk about something as passionately as that.
Well, thank you for allowing me to.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't bore you and your viewers.
Not at all. I mean, it's very rare, specifically from an entertainment standpoint, to connect sometimes that deeply with something. And I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. And it's always good to use that aspect to make other people realize, hey, there might be something to this that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Which you pretty much just poured out right there.
And I would like to say, anyone watching this who, you learn about in school, all they talk about in school is Watergate. Nixon was Watergate. He did so much more, people. At least watch some documentaries, read his books. Don't read all the books other people wrote, because that's all negative crap. Watch this movie Nixon with Oliver Stone. It's very unbiased. And appreciate some of the good things that he did for the country, not just the bad stuff.
How does that saying go? History is written by the victors.
Yes, and that's actually a line in the movie when he's talking to Kissinger, Henry Kissinger. He says, people will write that you were one of the great presidents of our time, and Nixon says that depends on who writes the history books. And unfortunately, he was right, because most people who write about Nixon are not favorable.
That's true. All right, number one.
This was no question. This has always been my favorite movie of all time. This is the movie that made me become an avid movie watcher, made me fall in love with movies. The first ever blockbuster, Steven Spielberg's baby, Jaws.
All right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, that is probably in my top 10 too.
Yeah.
Just the first one. Just number one.
Just the first one.
Just number one.
We don't have to add any others.
Yeah. The other ones, I don't.
Two was okay. I mean, at least it had the original cast, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just number one. Jaws, man. Just what other movie has made people scared of going in the ocean more than that movie?
I think it had the biggest impact of something like that than any movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, for something to terrify people so much, like they were talking about how like beach goers and resorts lost tons of money that summer because no one wanted to go.
Yeah.
For it to do that is just, for a movie to do that to some people It's amazing.
I mean, and you take in consideration, like, the shark itself, you barely even see it.
I
You
know.
really don't. Like, you see it, like, bits and pieces of it. But, like, the animatronics for that shark were, like, completely busted throughout the entire movie.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
didn't work. That's what saved the film. Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you there. Like, it just, like, there was something about, like, not really being able to see for what it is. But then, like, when you do see it and it works right, you're just like, oh, God. You know, like when he's chumming the water, right? And he's like, "Why do I gotta do this?" And he turns around and he sees him, just like right there, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he
you're
just
gonna need a
backs
bigger
up.
boat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna need. I'm just like that's iconic. Like that line alone is iconic in most people's lives.
one of
You
the
know
greatest ad-lib lines in movie history. He ad-libbed
exactly.
that.
No, and not and talking about iconic, the score, the
Oh, John
musical
Williams. Yeah.
score.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's
And it
like
was so simple. It was so simple.
I mean, but if you take in consideration, like it connects itself to water in general. Doesn't matter which water you're in, pool, ocean, bathtub.
Right.
Everybody knows that score, and it's synonymous.
That's so funny, Brad. I watched that probably when I was like 8 or 9, and that's the movie that made me want to take showers. Because I would not take. I was only bath before. I didn't like water in my face. I was still at that stage when I like screamed with waters in my face. I got over that real quick after I saw that movie. I didn't even want to take a bath.
Too
I
too
thought
many
for sure
ex-girlfriends
Jaws.
for me to worry about that.
Yeah, I thought for sure Jaws was going to come out of the drain and eat me. But I still loved it. It was amazing.
And I mean, it's not only that. Like, like my girls have seen Jaws, but before, like, I have two daughters, obviously, and before they even saw the movie, they knew that score, that
Right.
dun dun
Yes.
dun, because I would do it. I'd be giving them a bath as a baby, like just playing around. Like it's there. It's iconic.
It's what you do.
It is. Like as a like there's the Star Wars theme and the Jaws theme that are just
Both by John
so
Williams.
yeah.
It just proves what a great composer he is.
Oh my God, you're right. They are both by him, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Oh, like I don't know why I didn't put it together until just now, but I mean, yeah, like literally, like those when you have a score that puts a movie together and makes itself iconic in that way, and then the movie itself is just like mind-blowingly amazing to last over years. And here's the thing about that movie. Here's the thing that most people don't realize. That movie still stands.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Jaws itself, like it came out what like 30, 40 years ago,
Just passed, I think, the 45th anniversary.
right? You could watch it right now for the first time and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
and like you'd have like small issues because we're all used to like digital stuff and everything else. But like no, like this is great movie storytelling in every aspect of the words. Like I will agree with you on your number one, Jaws. Still not my number one, but it is in my top 10.
I appreciate it.
It's one of those like really iconic movies.
Yeah, and great. If anyone wants to go out and get it, any of the new anniversary versions have all the extra footage and interviews and stuff. Really interesting interviews on how they made that movie and what made it, so iconic.
I think I bought my dad one of the anniversary editions. I can't remember which one it was, but it was several years ago because he's actually the one who got me to see Jaws for the first time. It's one of his favorite movies too. It's in his top 5, which is funny. My dad's number one movie of all time, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Really,
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I mean that's his. I'm on a deserted island. I'm gonna watch this movie for the rest of my life. Which my dad has like me and my dad talk about movies a lot, but like differently. Like my dad has a weird top 5 for some reason. Like that's his number one. Starman is number 2.
Starman, I love Starman.
Right? Right. Like you can't fault him on it because they're good movies.
Yeah.
But like Starman, really? And he's like,
Dad.
right? He's like, it's old. I like it.
Yeah. That's great.
I mean, ah. But okay, we have actually been at this for almost an hour.
Are you serious?
Like, yeah, like it's been closer to like 40 minutes that
Time
we've been
flies when you're
talking,
having fun. Sure.
right? Do you want to continue and keep doing my
Oh,
top
absolutely.
10?
Yeah, absolutely.
All
We
right.
have to. We can't leave you out. What are you
Well, I
talking
mean,
about? I gotta hear yours.
we could do this. We can do this as many times as need be, which is the plan.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll let me see. Top 10. Oh, I didn't make a list like you did. Okay, I'm more free form. Okay, but if I had to go bottom number 10, Jurassic Park.
It's a good movie. Great
Jurassic Park. One, like I like you're gonna find on this list a lot of very good practical effects. Because I absolutely love practical effects in movies, animatronics, puppetry, just things of that nature that really brings it out to like really connect you. Like I like some of the movies now that have like sort of digital stuff, but practical effects really grab me, specifically when I was younger, and really kind of held me for a long time, even to this day. But Jurassic Park like really nails some practical effect. We talk about iconic. The iconic scene of the T-Rex at the very end of the movie, and he's roaring, and just the sign that just
The sign
comes
comes down.
down, just iconic.
Dinosaurs ruled the world.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, not only that, like the storytelling in itself is like what is man? Is it like, are we gods? Do we play like gods? Is this what we do? Do we do this when this is all that happens? I mean, that whole entire aspect of that, like, it really, like, drew me in and, like, really made me love dinosaurs as a kid, and it just kept it. I've shared this movie with my kids. They all love it. Like, and I mean, some of the Jurassic Park movies are a little bit lesser than the original. Like, none of them top the original, but some of them have been really good. But number one, like, my number 10 is the first Jurassic Park movie.
Love it. I would not disagree with that.
Hands down.
That movie, I remember that movie. Chris came out, another movie that came out when I was in high school. And I don't ever remember a movie being in the theater so long. It seemed like that movie was in the theater for like a year before they finally released it on what was in VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, finally, I can buy it. But I also remember that was one of the first movies I went to go see more than once. My family was limited on money. We didn't go see a lot of movies. And I remember I when that movie came out, I had just gotten my first job, so I was making my own money. And went to go see that. I went to go see that more than once. And I also remember one other fact, personal fact about that. That was the movie that made me stop believing in movie critics.
Oh, yeah.
Because, well, I know it's like a given thing now. You say, like, don't ever listen to critics. But I was really, back then, they were movie critics. And that's actually what I wanted to be when I grew up. And that was one of my, one of my dream jobs, when you're a kid. Like, astronaut, policeman, movie critic. But I just believed everything they said. And sometimes I would agree with them, sometimes I didn't. But they were so wrong about this movie. Siskel and Ebert.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching their show, and they just watched Jurassic Park, and they gave it 2 thumbs down. They were like, the effects are great, but it's so scary, and this is supposed to be a kid's movie. So I went to watch it, and I was just blown away, and I was like, you guys are freaking stupid.
Right?
I've never listened to critics again. And then from then on, I never did. I didn't care what they said. I went and saw it and made my own opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I could not say enough specifically about Jurassic Park. But if I keep talking about my top 10 movies, we'll be here a while. Because I could literally talk. I could take up an hour for
well,
each
you
movie.
gave me a lot of time on mine, too. So I don't. It's not fair if you don't get yours.
No, but
Another
see,
John Williams score, too, by the way.
Exactly. I mean, honestly. Okay, and I mean, okay, so number 9, okay? You had Star Trek. I got to bring Empire. Okay?
Hey, if I were to put a Star Wars on there, Empire would be it.
Empire would be number 1. Yeah. I mean, really, like, in truth, like, New Hope was good, you know,
New Hope was
it,
what started it.
yeah, New Hope was what started, but like, okay, so let me rectify this just a little bit. Empire is going to be on my top 10, but if I had to switch it out for another Star Wars movie, it would be Rogue One.
Really?
Yes, Rogue One. I don't know.
Very
I don't know.
depressing.
It is, but it nailed. Like, okay, so you know what happens in Rogue One before Rogue One even came out. We knew what happened in Rogue One
That's true.
at New Hope. Like immediately, we knew that this was a failed mission. So going into the movie, we realized, oh well, these guys are going to die. But that doesn't stop them from making a movie where you connect with every single character. You're on the edge of your seat through the action. You want these people to live, even though you know they're going to die.
Yeah.
Every aspect of it. You know, and then like look at the editing. The very end of Rogue One literally can be lined up with New Hope. Just like to the point to where you can just be like, and stop play. Boom. New
Yeah,
Hope.
that was great. I really like how they did that.
I mean, that is a director who understands the people who are watching those movies. Flat out.
Well, that's what we needed with these new Star Wars movies is someone who understood the fans.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the you know when they did the prequels, like
Let's not talk about that.
yeah, let's kind of move on.
Let's have a whole segment just about the prequels.
We can do
We'll
that.
do later.
That would be
How-
great.
How
'Cause
horrible they were.
but no, Empire Strikes Back is probably my favorite Star Wars movie.
Agreed.
I mean, come on. Like I can't even put into words how majestic that movie is in its use of storytelling, acting, and special effects,
Yeah.
and score.
Again.
John Williams. I mean, honestly, we could like the movie in itself is like a character. It's just so connected to like us as a whole anymore. Like I can't even remember a time where there wasn't Star Wars.
I don't think anyone can.
Not anymore. They're probably all dead. No, I'm just okay, number 8, Clerks.
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 Good.
Kevin
Good.
Smith, Clerks.
Funny movie. That would definitely probably be well, no, probably not.
Which is fine. But
I do like it. I was going to say if it would be in like my top comedies, but I don't know. I was when I first saw Clerks, I really did like it. But I've seen it a couple times after that, and it just I don't know. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I've seen it once. That was enough.
Well, you have to take in consideration, like how we met. I've been in retail for
Yes.
the better part of 2 decades of my life,
Exactly. I mean, I've been in retail all my working life. That's all I've done is retail.
and for the better part of those 2 decades, I was gas station, convenience store retail.
Oh, so you really related to Clerks
Yes.
in that part?
Like
yeah.
100% related to Clerks. Like I knew all of when they in the movie they talk about the different customers that come in and how weirdly they are and stuff.
That look for the oldest or the newest mill.
That's right. And the egg lady to make sure that yes, I dealt with all those people, every single one of them. So like not only
I've been those people.
So like not only was the movie like in my eyes like not only just comedic gold with its commentary, it's like okay, so Kevin Smith with the way that he writes his characters is kind of on par with me as Quentin Tarantino. Okay,
I can see that.
Quentin Tarantino's got a movie coming up in my top 10 in a second, so you can wait on that one. But like in the connectivity of Kevin Smith's characters are like real. Like those connections are real. Like we have a friend like Dante. We have a friend like Randall. And like so we connect with those characters really easily. You know, we like honestly, like you're more of a Randall, Zach, and I'm more of a Dante, if you're taking that consideration. You know? But like and that's what I love about Kevin Smith movies at all. Okay, the early Kevin Smith movies, mind you. Some of his later stuff hasn't been as great. But Clerks and Clerks 2 have really been his most outstanding achievements in my eyes. You know. But that Clerks 1 is just, there's just something about that movie that connects me just as my life.
It is a classic.
I mean, and for the budget that it was on, it really showed him, that you can do it too. Like every single person in Clerks 1 was one of his friends.
Yeah.
Barely paid any of them. Like he borrowed equipment from his school. That's how he did the movie. And that was it. And it was like, it only cost him like a couple $1,000s. And that was it.
Yeah.
Yet it made millions. And I think that's important. That's important to note specifically upon, like, in the movie industry, they don't care how good a movie is. They care about money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So if a movie's going to be good, to them, they just want the money. If the movie's going to make money, they don't care. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have 12,000 Fast and the Furious movies.
Yes.
Okay? They know they're going to get their money's worth out of them, so they keep making them.
That's true. People keep going to watch them.
You will not find a Fast and the Furious movie on my top 10 ever.
That's good. You know something that's sad, Bran? I just jumped on the bandwagon. I'm a completist, so, and I'm a movie hoarder. So I got the first Fast and Furious.
Hang up.
Watched it.
Hang up. No,
I watched it, and I was like, okay, well, I've got to get the others. So I've got all of them. Never seen another one, but I have them.
I've watched the first one. That's all I really wanted, but I have to have the others.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know. It's a sickness. It really is.
No, I understand. I understand that completely.
Like, I couldn't just have one Fast and Furious. That doesn't make sense. I've got to have the other 18.
Yeah. So what am I on? I'm on 7 now, right?
Yes.
Oh, man, 7. From Dusk Till Dawn. Yep. I know. It's okay. It's okay. From Dusk Till Dawn. Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez. Okay? Most people, this isn't going to be on your top 10. This is one of my guilty pleasures.
Gotcha.
It's one of those movies where I could literally see it on TV. I'm going to sit down and watch it.
On TV?
On TV. Like, I know it's going to be bad on TV. I know. I have the DVD as well, but I'm just saying, like, that movie, there's just something about that movie where, like, I could watch it in any iteration and still get the same amount of enjoyment as watching it as the first time. Yeah. The characters are so well written and so interesting that it I don't know, like I can't explain it. Like, just in the dialogue alone, because I mean you have that Quentin Tarantino dialogue throughout the entire thing, but the only part that Quentin Tarantino directed was the first part. He directed up to Titty Twister. Anything after that was entirely Robert Rodriguez. And like my favorite line, my favorite quote ever, mind you, ever in life, is the quote from this movie. And out of any movie, exactly, is George Clooney. They're sitting in the Titty Twister, and Juliette Lewis turns to him and says, "You're a fucking bastard." And George Clooney looks at her and says, "Hey, I may be a bastard, but I'm not a fucking bastard." And that just, I don't know why, but that is the quote that will like define my life up until this point. Like, I mean, really, like there were lots of really good lines in that movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Every single Quentin Tarantino movie has a quotable line that connects itself to somebody. Reservoir Dogs has it. The opening sequence of Reservoir Dogs, the tipping scene. Mr. Pink talking about tipping.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why I said that Quentin Tarantino has something with dialogue that...
The opening scene to Pulp Fiction, when they're in the car talking about Big Macs?
Yeah, the Royale with cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not only that, look at Samuel L. Jackson's character in that. Samuel Jackson's character in Pulp Fiction is like that really made him. You know, talking about that entire one line, you know, before, you know, bringing about the hammer of God, right? The wrath of God. Like some people to this day can quote you that entire soliloquy.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't. I love it, but I can't do it. You know, my thing that I can quote from it isn't even that part, and it's not even the best part of the movie. You know, it's the part where they meet Quentin Tarantino's character because they need to get rid of the dead guy in the back of their car.
Right.
You know, it's like, is there a sign out front? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's an iconic line, you know, and I can remember that, but it's just so, like that line in that movie, like, you know, I don't know, like it's put out right. But that's not even the funniest part of the movie. The funniest part of Pulp Fiction to me was they've come to kill Bruce Willis's character, right? And he goes to the bathroom. Right, you remember that? And he comes out and like Bruce Willis has his gun and just like you're like, come on. But it's just like it's so perfect. It couldn't have
so
done
natural too. It's
Yeah.
like this was the natural thing he would do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, and when Uma Thurman overdoses,
Yeah.
like everything about that movie to me is iconic. Like Pulp Fiction is on my list. Was actually going to be later on in my list. Like
Well,
it was.
let's talk about it now.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what we're doing right now. But it was actually number 5.
Okay.
Honestly, Pulp Fiction is number 5. And it's probably one of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies. Not only because of the casting in itself is spectacular. Just the writing and the directing and just the storytelling of it was just so, you know, like, which one's your wallet? It's the one that says bad motherfucker on it. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, you can't go wrong with Pulp Fiction. In my opinion, you can't go wrong with Pulp Fiction. I think I skipped 6, didn't I?
You were
6.
on 7.
I was on 7, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we jumped from 7 and then we went to 5, so I'll go back to 6.
So 6.
6. I'll do 6. Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
Never seen that.
Never seen Barry Gordy's Last Dragon? Okay, so it is 1970s. Right, hold on. I got it right here. I can't remember like when 1985. 1985 is the original copyright. It's a hip hop retelling of Bruce Lee in a way. Back when they were doing really hardcore blaxploitation movies, Barry Gordy decided to make his own kung fu legend, but like sort of a parody. So what happens is he's got this black kid. His name is Leroy Brown, in like Harlem.
Yeah.
And but he wants to be Asian, basically. He's training with a guy that's from China to be a ninja, like using martial arts and stuff like that. So everybody calls him Bruce Leroy. But his dad, Bruce Leroy, yeah, like it's sort of like a parody of that whole entire thing because everybody knows Bruce Lee at that point.
Okay.
But it's like I don't know, like it's something that I could sit down and watch every single time. That has really memorable aspects of it, but he's very innocent.
Who's in it?
Oh man, like okay, so half of the actors aren't known. Like you probably wouldn't known. Let me see. The only one that's actually gone on to really do anything else is Julius J. Carey. He's been in other stuff, but he plays the main antagonist, Sho'nuff. That's his name in the movie, Sho'nuff.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sho'nuff.
it's a blaxploitation movie, so you've got all these, interesting sort of.
Now you say
ways
it's a
to
parody. Do they play it like a comedy or is it a martial arts
No,
film?
yeah, it's a martial arts film. I use parody very lightly in this because it's not meant to parody. It's more like I don't know how to explain it. Like it's very serious by nature, but the comedy is very like under level. Like you have this black individual who acts very like like a samurai. Like he's very honorable and kind and innocent. He doesn't know the rest of the world is the way it is. So like his brother, his whole family, they're all like hip hop and like, yo, bro, come on, man, let's do this shit. And he's like, no, we must not. We must honor the way. And it's like it's really kind of like subdued comedy in that route.
Yeah.
Like, but he's the master. He's the master martial artist. And like Shonuff is the other master martial artist that wants to put him out of business. And it becomes like a really sort of like back and forth. But it's a really good movie, in my opinion. It's one of the one of my favorite blaxploitation movies.
Okay.
Okay. I like martial arts movies a lot. Okay, number 4. Now it's really going to come down because these are going to be really like obscure. Well, not really obscure, but really awkward to put in a top 5 because nobody else is going to have these in top 5s. Okay, number 4, Princess Bride.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. Before you go on, I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there. Princess Bride is another, and I know people are gonna hate me. I'm sorry, don't kill me. Princess Bride is another one that's really overrated for me. When I first saw it, I just could not get into it. Are you about to hit the end button?
I was this close. I was really this
you
close.
raised your hand up.
I was like,
Oh, God.
I was gonna grab me a water, but I was really thinking about it.
No, I don't know what it is about that film that everyone just loves so much. I guess just growing up with it, I didn't see it until later in life. It's just one of those I missed. And then when I did watch it, I was like, okay, I don't get it. I like it. It's a fun movie. It's a fun fantasy. I don't know. Maybe I was like hoping for more like magic fantasy type instead of love story.
Right, but I mean, I can understand your point of view, but there's like again talking about iconic. The movie itself is iconic.
It is.
My
Everyone
name is
talks
Inigo
about that.
Montoya. You killed my father. Now prepare to die.
Yeah,
I mean,
everyone knows that line.
I mean,
I knew that line before I even saw the movie.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that alone should tell you how iconic that movie is in today's society. I mean, look at the cameos right now for Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
Literally, they're bringing Fred Savage in to play his character from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't see what is uniconic about that, I'm sorry. The movie itself, to me,
No, I didn't say that. I can see that. I can see how it is iconic, and I respect the following that it has. I just don't agree with it. That's all.
I mean that's fine. You're just wrong. It's okay.
Hey, this is your show.
It is.
I'm just a guest here.
All right, number 3. Event Horizon.
Oh, love Event Horizon. That would definitely be in my list of my top scariest.
Oh my gosh, Sam Neill.
Love him. Very underrated actor.
Oh, I loved him from Jurassic Park, right?
I did too, and
But,
that's what
like-
everyone knows him from. But they forget his other works.
Oh man, I there's Event Horizon, In the Mouth of Madness, one of my other
Yes.
favorite movies with him in it. Like, but there's just something about his portrayal in Event Horizon that's just I don't it's so enamoring to me. Like the way he does his character in that, and to the point to where when he eventually goes mad, it's like, what happened to your eyes? Oh, where we're going, you won't need eyes to see.
I know that.
And it's
Great, freaky lines.
and I mean Lawrence Fishburne, like he
Yeah.
does such a great job in it too, talking about like his friend that is like, do you know what happens to fire in 0G? It just waves and waves.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, like everything in that, and like I remember so much of that movie, like when they're originally get the distress call and they're like, what is that? It's Latin. It's liberate tutime.
Yeah.
Save me. And then later on, it's like, wait, there's
No,
more.
wait a minute. It's not say. Yeah.
Right? It's from the original. It's liberate tutime. That's the original that they get. So that means save me. It's like, but then he goes and re-listens to it, and he's like, wait, there's more. There's liberate tutime exix veris, which is save me from hell. And I mean that
Yeah.
like puts the entire thing to in focus.
That movie, I think, it brought back and I don't think people appreciated about this movie, but I think it brought back the horror aspect of space.
Oh yeah.
Of course, we originally saw that with Alien, and they
don't
tried to do.
don't get me wrong. Aliens, two completely different movies.
They really are.
Alien, the one you're talking about, really scary.
Yes.
Really worth it. That really brought horror to space.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Event Horizon, I think, is more along that genre of that. And the premise of it, if you think about it, like, we don't know what's out there. Like, and to go so far, and that's what it's saying, like, it went so far and went somewhere that was just pure evil and came back.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Yeah, I have video, but I don't have sound. Uh-oh. Nope. I can't hear nothing. Oh, no. I may have to call you back. I have no idea what happened. I can read your lips, but but I can't hear anything you're saying. Okay, let me just call you back. Okay? Hold on. All right, much better.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I don't know what happened. Okay, sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right. It happens. But yeah, like you're exactly right. From the last part, I could hear you. Like Event Horizon, you don't know what's out there. And I mean, we made a worm in the movie. They made a wormhole generator to get from point A to point B seamlessly by jumping realities.
Yes.
And I mean,
You fold space.
Yep.
I love that. I love that scene too. That's my favorite scene when he's explaining it in the break room to everyone. He takes a piece of paper and he's like, "You fold space."
All right, number two.
Okay.
Ghostbusters #1.
Great film. That's actually one of the ones, Brad, I considered putting on my list, and it was one of those I don't know. It was hard for me to cut, but I had to cut it.
It's really hard for me to pick which one. One or two. Like,
I am a fan of the second one. A lot of
me
people
too.
are. I love the second one.
Like, and that's the funny thing about Ghostbusters is that the sequel is just as good as the first.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like the first is great. The only reason why it's at number 2 is because it was the first.
Right.
Like the second one has probably more iconic things in it than the first. But like the first is the first, and it was so good. Like it's something that I've actually been able to share with my daughters so easily.
Yeah. Do they like it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like we watch. Well, I mean, I originally didn't have it on DVD until they came out with the. I've actually got it right here. Let me pull it down. The 2-pack.
Yeah.
Okay. I was walking through Walmart with Scarlett one day, and she saw the 2-pack, and like I didn't have a lot of money, honestly, but like she's like, "Daddy, we need to get those movies." I was like, "Are you sure they're Ghostbusters?" She's like, "Yes, Daddy, we need Ghostbusters." So I'm like, that's all I needed to know to be like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna grab Ghostbusters, So we bought it, and I came home, and we sat down and watched it. My daughter at that time was probably 3 or 4, and we sat, and she watched Ghostbusters 1 and 2 start to finish without getting up to do anything.
Awesome.
For a 3 to 4 year old, child to do that,
For
you
the whole
immediately
interest like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's and so like it's been like one of the things. It evolved from watching those movies to watching the cartoons because Netflix put on the Real Ghostbusters there, so we watched the entire Real Ghostbusters cartoon together as well.
I love the real Ghostbusters.
Right?
Yeah, that was
And
great.
it's
Can I
just,
share a
just
funny
something.
story about the Ghostbusters?
Please do.
And Ghostbusters, I was a huge fan, watched it over and over again when I was a kid. And it was always a treat for me to be able to go to the theater. Like I said, we were on limited income when I was young. But Ghostbusters 2 came out, and my mother took me to see it. And I remember I got scared at the part where Janos, after he's possessed,
Oh yeah, with
and he
his
goes in
glowing
the hall.
eyes.
Yes, he goes into the hall and uses his eyes as flashlights.
I knew exactly what's.
That freaked the fuck out of me, and I'm sorry for my language, but I was like, ugh, and I started crying. And my mom, and we left, and I never got to finish it in the theater. I didn't finish it until it came out on VHS.
Oh.
But that was scary.
I mean, at the time, yeah, that was probably the scariest part in the entire movie.
I
The
know.
fact, out of all the ghosts and the weird things and the skeletons, that one human who is possessed brings out the most fear in that movie.
I guess because they're most human and
Yeah.
relatable. But that's the part always scared me. Anything with eyes, the same thing in Event Horizon, the black eyes.
Yeah, where
That
he's
always
he
freaks me out.
rips out his own eyeballs.
Yes.
Oh man. Oh. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but Ghostbusters definitely.
yeah, I mean, like if you don't like Ghostbusters, you're a moron. I'm sorry. In some way, shape, or form, you have to like Ghostbusters.
I agree.
At least, yeah. Which there was rumors recently that Dan Aykroyd is trying to write an actual.
I know, and they can't get Bill Murray on board. I don't understand why he just won't. And I don't know if it's just. I hope it's not. I hope it's more than rumors. Oh, by the way, were you a fan of the remake, or were you one of the ones that wanted to see it burn?
Well, okay, so you know me. Like I don't think there's any reason for any sort of entertainment to be ridiculed that bad besides the prequel Star Wars movie. But like I wouldn't say that I was a fan, but I would not say that I wasn't a fan either. Like it was.
I agree.
It was entertaining.
Liked it better than I thought I would.
Yeah. I took Scarlett to go see it when it came out, because she wanted to go see it as well. And it was entertaining. I thought there was too many stereotypical tropes for my taste. Like, because I mean, in the first one, there were no stereotypes, like at all. Like you wouldn't expect anything to happen,
Yeah, a lot
out
of
of
that in the remakes. They just have to stereotype everything.
yeah. And I mean, like in the all female remake, like the black person was a stereotype black person, could have been interchanged with any other female black person for comedic relief, and it's just like no character like really stood out to me at all. Like it was a good movie, it was entertaining, don't get me wrong. It's just like on a scale of a Ghostbusters movie, obviously it would be the third since it's the only other one after that. So, but yeah, I'm not. And it was worth a good watch. Number one,
Okay.
talk about movies that we're near and dear to. Me and you have talked about this one too.
Yes.
Okay.
We need a drum roll.
Yeah, yeah. Airplane.
Oh yes.
Airplane, my number one movie of all time.
Yeah. It's interesting that you pick a comedy as your number one movie. Is there a reason for that? You think, or like a personal reason to you?
Well, I mean, like it brings joy. Like there are lots of things in life that really bring you down, and
Yeah.
there's too much. In reality, there's too much drama. There's too much, horror in everyday life. For me to fully say that I can sit down and just forget everything, and get to a point to where like the entire world just like, okay, so that scene in Train Spotting, right? You have seen Train Spotting, right?
I'm sorry.
No,
I know
it's
some of your
okay.
viewers are having for that too. I know it's a cult classic, and it's
Okay,
on my list.
yeah,
It's
okay.
not one that I don't want to see. I do want to see it. I just have never gotten around to it.
That's your homework.
Okay.
Just the first one. They made Train Spotting 2, which is not bad, but just number one, Train Spotting 1, okay? But there's a scene in that where Ewan McGregor overdoses on heroin. And the way
Don't
they...
ruin it for me. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
No, there are other scenes in there. But like, the way they portray that movie is he falls back into the carpet, and it, like, the carpet moves up. So he sees, like, from this, like, sort of, like,
Like he's
depressed...
sinking into the carpet.
Yeah, but he can't move. He can't do anything but look out this way. So he sees everything out. And that's the way I feel when I'm watching, like, Airplane, is that, like, everything else around me is just gone. Like, I can sit here and enjoy every aspect of this movie without any worries. Like, I can laugh from beginning to end in this movie. And I feel like the laugh isn't tainted in any way, because there's no, like, they're not trying to poke, like yeah, they're poking fun of religion, they're poking fun of black people, yeah, they're poking fun of white people, they're poking
They
fun
poke
of,
fun at everything.
yeah, at everything. Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing that they're not just like, we're gonna make a joke and we're gonna make it at this.
Yes.
I mean, even to the point, like, the children, they make fun of the children in that, because you know which part I'm talking about, right? Where the little boy walks up to the little girl and says, "Oh, would you like some coffee?"
I like it black, like my men.
Right? And he's just like, "Oh." Like, and these are like 10-year-old children.
I know. That was so great. He's all in a little suit.
Oh, and
Excuse me. I couldn't help but notice she was sitting alone. I was wondering if I could. That was great.
and
the little girl that was going to get her heart transplant.
oh my God, the nun that's singing and just keeps knocking out her IV, and she's like, "No." Or Timmy that goes to the cockpit, and Captain Over is like, "So, Timmy, do you like movies about gladiators?"
Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
Yeah. like it's like every single laugh in that movie is pure to me. Like, I had such a, my life was terrible that now I have a drinking problem. Yeah, like, or every time that he starts telling somebody about his and Elaine's story, they kill themselves. It's like, it's pure, like, just like, oh shit, like, it is the greatest comedic movie in the world to me.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely great. They'd definitely be in my top list of comedies.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, there's nothing about that movie that just, like, and if we have a list of comedies, like My Behavior alone, I've got like top 20. Like, you think it's hard for you to do a top 10 list, top 5 list? Comedies alone, I'm like,
Yeah.
How many Mel Brooks movies can I put in this?
Yeah, exactly.
but like, there's just, every scene in Airplane is iconic to me. That is probably one of the most quotable movies that I can quote from beginning to end. Every scene is ingrained in my mind to where I don't even have to watch the movie. I can just close my eyes and I can play it out.
It's a gift. That movie is a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that if you've not seen, any of you out there have not seen Airplane, you should. Just on a whim, honestly, you will not come away unrewarded, because as I said, every laugh is pure. It's silly, it's nonsensical. There's just nothing in it that you couldn't laugh at. Even if you just chuckled and it's like, that's silly, and you're still getting something out of it. And that's why it's my number one movie of all time.
Don't start with your white zone shit again.
You're getting a call from the Mayo Clinic, and he's talking to the doctor, and there's just jars of mayo everywhere. I see. You understand. Like, it's that simple.
It's amazing.
It is. It is. Well, Zach, we have talked about both of our top 10 movies. I have had an amazing time chatting with you.
Thank you very much,
doing
Brad.
this.
This was awesome. I appreciate you. I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of this, and I hope to be back in the future.
I mean, that's the hope. I mean, time frame willing, we'll try to do one of these at least once a week, and
That'd be
we'll
great.
go over things.
I'm sorry
well-
that the sound went out earlier. Are you gonna be able to patch these together? And,
Oh, no, I'm not a good editor.
oh,
But it's okay. but until we get into a frame of mind to where we can actually do some newer movies, because I'd like to get to there, I really would.
sure.
We're going to continue down these top 10 lists, top 5 lists. We're going to go through different genres.
From now on, I think I'll be comfortable doing top 5. This was really hard for me, even to do 10. But if you want to cut it down to 5 for time constraints, I would understand. We can do that. But I think when this, like all time movies, we
Yeah.
needed a 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's understandable. I'll grant you that, which is fine. This is, really kind of our first episode, as sort of my co-host. So, I mean, it was a good way to get everybody out there who will watch this an understanding of what the dynamic could be. And I mean, it gives us, as you can definitely tell, all you viewers out there, that his top 10 and my top 10 are two completely different top 10s.
That's
Like,
what
they're-
makes it great. If they
yeah,
were the same, it would be boring.
yeah, it would, right?
But
I mean,
all 10, all 20 of them are great movies.
Exactly. And I mean, I hopefully you guys out there who are watching this will come back on the next episode. If you have any sort of genre that you would like us to discuss, or any other movies that you would like us to talk about before now, please leave a comment, subscribe, like it, hit that notification button if you want to see more stuff from us, which would be great. But
Please be
until
nice in
then,
the comments too, because I'm very self-conscious.
just hide the comments. Hide the comments. But is there anything else that you'd like to say, Zach, before I give a sign off?
I don't think so, Brad. We covered it all, man. Like I said, this was great, and thanks for having me.
Good. All right, well, guys, as always, remember, be kind to each other, and we'll see you on the couch next time.
Take care.